Peyton, I really need you to make that green explosion like it's a spell I'm casting or something. Because every time it explodes up, I feel like I'm casting a spell. Hey, what's going on, kids? It's freaking Monday morning.
Monday.
And welcome to Fantasy School, where Donnie wants to become a wizard.
Apparently. That's real. I took a picture of the owl that got distracted taking out one of my chickens when it was supposed to be delivering my Hogwarts letter. Friggin' stupid damn chickens got in the way. Otherwise, my ass would be in Hogwarts. Can you imagine me as a wizard?
Donnie Potter.
Oh no.
Donnie Potter.
My mother-in-law loves this joke. My favorite spell of all time is a Spirit the Sancti. She really hates that joke. It's a freaking religious. It's a religious saying.
Yeah, Donnie's trying to exorcise the demons.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Mother-in-law. I got you.
Oh goodness gracious! Yeah, she loves Harry Potter because Harry Potter is the devil.
Huge fan. It's the devil. It's the devil.
It's hard not to like Harry Potter,
right? But that's why I continue to get more Harry Potter tattoos and the likes because you got to add fuel to the fire when it's warranted. What fun things did you guys do this weekend? Anything exciting? Good morning, Robin.
Had Mother's Day weekend. I sent Ty to play bingo with my mother yesterday.
Just drop him off and run away.
I called my mom for Mother's Day, and she said, "Let me call you back. I'm out getting drunk with your grandma." And I said, "Okay, call me back later." And I never got the call back.
That's awesome.
We did an apology text this morning.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. We got trashed.
We had a surprise baby goat born. We didn't even know the damn goat was pregnant. All of a sudden went out to the yard and there's a brand new solid silver, gorgeous little male. I'm like, crap. So I had to get the barn set up. So now we've got baby chicks, baby ducks, baby pigs, baby goats, baby geese. It is like freaking everybody took a date night. Through the winter. and spring has sprung.
We're only 3 months removed from Valentine's Day on the farm, so
I mean, hey, friggin'
Donnie, what was it they said last night? You're like, just charge a $10 admission and you'll be a millionaire.
Yeah,
all your animals you got in there.
I've got people now that are telling me I should create a YouTube channel just for the baby goats. So
probably should.
I would YouTube channel for the farm.
Right? Yeah, I would do all the baby animals. Yeah, you have a nursery, Robin. You are correct.
So it's time. You get this little thing called running a company, trying to do all the. Got it. Thanks, Joe. But you don't think about taking a camera out when you're doing just your regular routine stuff on the farm. Yeah, but that's the stuff everybody wants to freaking see. Well,
you need to strap like a GoPro to your head.
Yeah.
Ooh, how about a GoPro to one of the baby goats' head?
Ooh. I think that would get everybody a little dizzy and drunk. It'd be like this. The whole camera would be just bah.
Wait, how'd that go?
Bah.
And we're stretching.
Yep. Let's get this game going, P.
All right. Today is a game of improv. So I'm going to give y'all images, and y'all are just going to have to make a story out of these 4 slides that you've got. You've all got 4 slides.
Like we're pitching this as a business?
Just like as an idea. You're like, this is my idea. Almost like Shark Tank, I guess, kind of.
All right.
Like, this is my idea. See if anybody picks up on it.
Here we go.
Oh, boy.
Here goes our PG-13 rating.
Oh, jeez.
So Keith goes first.
And everybody, you just ask questions if you want to.
What the fuck is Keith looking at? He's just like off in the distance.
He's looking at you.
That's why he's staring. I'm
staring at Stevie. Stevie's sitting to my right. I'm staring at her in complete awe. So today I have a revolutionary idea for dairy cows. And we're going to replace dairy cows with monkeys that are going to space now.
So wait, why cows? Why cows into monkeys?
Well, because when you get there, you have something to drink. Monkeys don't give you anything nutritious. So
So you're gonna send cows to space?
How are you going
Right.
to?
Plus, they all have the more of a density of like we can test this with like the size of 3 human beings. So
Is it
decided to send
easier to
one
milk if they
cow.
float upside down?
It is, yeah. 'Cause then you can actually, because of the anti-gravity, you can milk upside down. They can relax like getting a massage, and all the stuff goes up into a container.
Wow.
Okay.
Tell me next slide when you're ready.
Next slide.
Wait, this is still me?
Yeah.
More slides.
I guess we're gonna.
Slide number 3.
So we're sending 4 different kinds of beans with the cow into space to help with digestion. So to get rid of the carbon
Hey,
monoxide.
anybody else
poisoning.
wonder what a fart looks like or sounds like or does in space?
I was having that thought, Donnie.
Yeah. Sounds like this.
I'm just glad none of us are in the space shuttle with the cows.
Right.
Yeah. Was that a bomb that went off? Nope, that was a cow.
Yeah, the
No,
cow
that was
farted.
Bertha.
And I'm also thinking, like with the astronauts, they probably have bags and stuff they poop in. That cow is going to poop everywhere, and that shit's going to literally just be floating through the capsule.
Yeah. Well, the thing is you could grab it in a Ziploc bag and it replaces fuel. So now you've got fossil fuels up there as well instead of eating along with the milk.
Wow.
What a bad stretch.
So
Wow.
I thought this whole thing through.
Next slide.
Obviously. Next slide.
Okay, yeah. So this is the recolonization once we get to Mars. Obviously, it's the red planet up there that's smiling.
Why is the cow
And,
farmer pissed off?
Well, because his poop was in the air.
He's gonna wipe the walls off. They land
Yeah.
everything.
Obviously, yeah, we ran out of beans, but the tree is so green because of all the fertilizer we were able to save.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and obviously, a second shuttle came up behind us with 3 more animals on there.
I know, because there's more than just cows at this point.
Yeah. So yeah,
Wow.
and so we named it on Mars. Old MacDonald had a farm. EI Mars.
Yeah, Mars.
Okay.
EI.
That's a
Mars.
So
Okay.
what I'm looking for today is 3 investors. We get a 5% stake for $1.7 million for my mission to Mars with farm animals.
I'm in.
I'm out.
Wow.
Okay. All
All
right.
right, Bernie.
Oh, Bernie, here we go.
Okay. Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit about the sun because it's bright and warm. And next slide. And so the sun is actually an amazing growth tool. So as you can see here, we have a bald head and we have a head with hair. So created this new topical solution that you put on top of your bald head. You go and stand in the sun and
Regrows your hair.
I
sounds like
need
it-
some of that.
It
Hey.
sounds like it would burn.
no, it's just, you know, a mild tingle.
Uh,
Next slide.
Just a mild.
Oh no! What happened here? Is this a test subject, Bernie?
You know, unfortunately, though, if you spend too much time in the sun, it completely disintegrates your head.
His whole head blew off. Yeah, sell that, Bernie.
Listen, now, would anybody like to guess what the 4th slide is? Because this could get interesting.
You use it in moderation. Next slide. And yeah, so
So you're not supposed to use the product, Bernie? I mean,
Kitchen.
and you need to really use it in moderation. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time in the sun. Really, it's just, you know, the tip of your thumb. You put it on there and then massage it in.
Just to ask you a quick question. When you have a label on the product for the side effects, is losing your head one of them?
It is, yeah. that is-
I think
I'm out.
Is that supposed to be a selling point?
Yeah. I don't think you sold it.
Some of the side effects are explosive diarrhea, explosive heads.
We could use that in space.
Yeah, thank God we're not in
right.
space. Wow. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
All
Donnie,
right.
you're up.
Oh,
This should be great.
Oh.
Oh.
So today we're going to talk about color wheels and why you need
how
all
Donnie made his flag.
colors. Raise the flag, raise it. and with all the colors, you need to weigh them appropriately.
Balance. You need to find balance.
Balance in your colors because
I could have
They-
used a lifeline. Damn it!
Bernie, you do fine all by yourself. I, feel
Well, I
he's
mean, Bernie's
fucking
blowing
with it.
heads off. I just need, to balance your
Yeah.
colors because you got to look appropriately in the next slide. If you don't balance your colors, you pollute the world. And
True.
I'm a guy that wears blues, blacks, and grays. So, maybe it's because that's the colors I choose to wear. I'm not polluting the world. All you
I'm
super
still
flamboyant.
curious what you're trying to sell us.
I would like to know that as well. Bright colors, right? Bright colors are good things. Maybe next slide. And barf. You should be always really fun. That's or be always really formally colorly dressed. I'm stretching
nailed it.
way beyond that.
I really have no idea what you sold,
I'm
but I'm in for
Thank you.
whatever reason.
so I got
For me, it
4
would have been
investors.
it would have been a barf scarf, half colored, half grayscale.
Barf scarf. That's a great idea. Who wants to buy my barf scarf? So when you do get sick, right, you can barf right into that thing, roll it up, and just throw it away and walk off.
No, don't throw it away. Send it to me. I'll send it to Mars.
Wow.
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 All right. Let's get this over with.
Get this over with.
Wow.
Well, wait, Matt's in the first slide.
Have
We're-
you ever felt like you stood out from the crowd? Next slide. Well, I think sharks feel this way a lot because people don't really know sharks and they're scared. And so sharks stand out from all the other fishies. Next slide. So, like a lawnmower cuts all the grass to be the same.
Shark
need-
scissors.
okay. We need to have sharks. We need to help conserve sharks and we need to repopulate the ocean with lots and lots and lots of sharks so that no one shark feels alone. Next slide.
Oh no! Oh no!
Otherwise, the oceans will dry up and we will have no more ocean in the United States.
Wow.
The globe.
Wow.
Wait, is that Mars coming down to Earth to get sharks for our cows?
That's where Keith recolonized. The tree was fake.
Put the sharks in your rocket, Keith. We'll send them up to
Wow.
Mars.
Wow.
Nice,
Okay. Nice.
nice.
Wow.
The green grass to the shitty landscape.
Yes.
Man, I'm the only one that got all 4 investors. Does that mean I win?
No, I think Keith wins. He was the only one his slides actually kind of went together. All the rest of us. were
Bernie did really well too.
No, fuck Bernie. I won.
Peyton, I think next time you do this, you need to play a video and we got to play like a weather reporter over the top of it.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
gosh.
We can try that.
Oh, too funny. All right, let's kick it on over to the interview. Jesus.
This is Bernie DeSantis, president of Insignia Training Partners. Bernie purchased Insignia in 2022, where they seek to enhance and streamline corporate training programs. Bernie's big business goal is to earn $10 million in sales in the next 10 years. And today, Bernie gets the hot seat with the Success Champions team.
So,
Oh shit!
Bernie, is there a reason none of your computer monitors match? I mean,
Uh,
you go to the thrift store?
Because I piecemealed it all together, man.
No. Hey, what you get at the dollar store is what you get. You can't be picky.
That's right.
No, This should be fun. So Bernie usually joins us as the quiet man in the corner on the show, and we decided to make him speak this round by torturing him in the hot seat and really seeing if we can't help him kick up his business a little bit. So Bernie, introduce yourself formally, and then what can we help you with, my friend?
All right. Thanks, Donnie. So I'm the owner of Insignia Training Partners. We are a full service learning and development company that provides contract, or the new word is fractional, resources to organizations to help them design, develop, and deploy their training solutions. And as you know, one of the big things that we focused on over the last couple of years is production of virtual events. So workshops, webinars, masterminds, master classes, all of the above. Since I met you, Donnie, really over the last year or so, that part of my business, the virtual production side, because I've really focused on it, has done really well. We're up to a point now where we're doing anywhere from 5 to 7 events every week. Because I've had so much focus on that side of my business and asking for those type of referrals through networking, the other side of my business has lagged a little bit, right? We're not getting the instructional design projects, the facilitation projects, that type of stuff, larger scale, big ticket items. So I need to make a little bit of a shift in my approach to networking, so that I am getting in contact with ultimately my ideal client for those. When I joined SCN, when I first started networking, I had no freaking clue what I was doing. I was going to all sorts of different rooms, talking with all sorts of different people, really just taking a shotgun approach to it. And so once you and I got connected and I started my group, I started to refine my process for networking. I've got really good at it at this point, as far as, again, those virtual events. But when I've tried to make that shift and ask for, the human resource executives or the learning and development executives or the CEOs of small businesses, I get kind of blank stares, right? I'm not getting connected with those people. So, in order for me to reach that, big goal of getting to $10 million annual revenue, I need to figure that piece out. I need to be able to connect with those people, and, more traditional sales type activities haven't, at least thus far, really been producing a lot of results for me. I'm reaching out on LinkedIn, doing cold DMs. I've done a little bit of cold calling. I've partnered with some larger firms. I've partnered with some fractional human resource people, right? So when they get into those smaller companies and they see the gaps, they can outsource to me. I've partnered with another company to work on bigger bids and RFPs, but it's just really been a slow go. And I've had a lot of success, obviously, with networking from the virtual production side. So I would really like to figure out, how do I pivot my networking so that I am getting in contact with those folks.
So who is your ideal client, and what specifically would you want to be doing for them?
Well, some of my best clients are those professional services organizations that are working on really big RFP type opportunities. I'm working with a major airline right now through one of those professional service organizations, and we're providing them with instructional design support for a leadership development program, as well as LMS administration. And I think that's actually part of my issue too, Donnie, is as a business, and again, I purchased the business 2 years ago. I didn't found it. So a lot of what we do and how we do it has been inherited. But, we do facilitation, instructional design, LMS implementations and administration, project management, virtual production. I mean, I even have voiceover actors on my bench to help build LMS and e-learning type training. So I've always taken the approach that I'm kind of agnostic. I don't really care what the industry is that my client ultimately serves, because training is training, right? There's only so many ways that people learn. There's only so many ways to deliver the content. And so I've never really zoned in on who that, I guess, ideal client or what that ideal subject matter is, because to me, it doesn't matter. Now, in my approach to business development, obviously it does matter, because if I'm shooting for everyone, I'm shooting for no one. But, there's no job too big, no job too small when it comes to training.
So I think you got one big problem up front. I don't think people understand what the fuck you actually do is. There's too many words. There's too much language. Keith, you're one of them, right? Yeah. Right. When there's only 4 reasons you don't get introductions and referrals.
Oh, here comes the first one, Bernie.
You're an asshole.
Man, Keith, you know all about that one, buddy.
Right. The second one is you don't ask. Right. The third one, everybody thinks you're gonna, try and sell or pitch anybody you're introduced to, and then the fourth one, nobody has a freaking clue what you actually do. So,
I really think there's a fifth one.
which is,
What is it?
You're not in the right room with the right people.
I would agree with that. I agree with
Right. So I think, like, for me, some of what Bernie runs into is the same thing I run into. Some networking groups the people are great and they know a lot of people, but unless they're doing the work with the clients you need, it doesn't matter. They can know what you do, they can love you, you cannot be an asshole, all the things. But if they just don't know anybody, like when I go into a room and I say, I need to meet with HR directors in companies of over 500 employees, there's going to be a lot of people in some spaces that are going to look at me like, I love you, but I don't know anybody. I literally don't know those people. Those are not the people I'm talking to.
100%.
Yeah,
right.
I feel like
So
I run
do
into that
think
a
there's
lot.
a fifth one there, which is, are you in the room with the right people who have the people you want? So,
Right. Or you can just say in general, you have the wrong network.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the thing is, too, is we know all those people. We know thousands of those people. We
mhm.
just don't know which ones they are, right? We don't know the finances of all of our connections. We don't know the employee count of all of our connections. They're there, right? So everything you're asking for is there. You just got to figure out how to make it very simple on us to make that introduction.
Right.
So, because you say you're throwing around words that for you are like industry words, like, content design, LMS, right? Those are natural lingo in your world. I know LMS means learning management systems, but I'd be willing to bet 90% of the network doesn't know,
Mhm.
right? Instructional design, what the fuck does that even mean? Right. So you got to be able to break things down big bird style enough that people can wrap their head around it. And in the same token, you've got to get very specific and clear on who you absolutely need to be introduced to. Like throwing out an HR manager, that is cool, but it doesn't give enough meat on the bone, right? It doesn't tell a story enough to say, okay, this is exactly who I need to tell and introduce Bernie to. And at this point, I don't care about niche for you so much. It's more about how do you actually explain to people what it is you do so we understand how best we can support and help you.
Yeah, the shotgun approach does not work when it comes to networking, right? And it sounds like you've got two different sides of your business. You need to figure out which one you're going to focus on for each of your networking events. You could focus on both at the same time, but don't confuse people with both at the same time. Right. So pick one, find a lane, and then inside those professional services, right? Like Donnie was just saying, like with HR, it took me a long time to learn that within HR, there's 18 fucking categories, right? Get specific. And how do you get specific? Right? Go take a look at your data. Go look at your last 5 to 10 customers that you've onboarded. Where did they come from? Right? Who sent you that referral? Who sent you that introduction? And what industry are they in? Are they in a specific HR seat? Circle it, right? Go back and take a look exactly, specifically what seats they're in, and then find a common thread where 3 people that are fractional HR folks, or 3 people that are HR consultants that own a small company. Get very specific on what that was. Maybe it's someone in the IT cybersecurity space. Who knows? But go back and the more data you can circle and figure out, find 20 clients, then focus on those industries. Use that triangle, but you have to know what your points are.
Yeah, something you also said is you kind of inherited a bunch of this business. You didn't get to really choose what this business was per se. Now, what do you actually want the business to do? Like, what is that business service that you really want to offer?
Well, historically, at least for me personally, I'm a facilitator and more recently virtual producer, right? So I love doing that work. But if I'm going to grow my business, I can't be in front of the camera, or, I can be in front of the camera, but I'm not going to be the person who's going and delivering the training. I'm not going to be the producer of those events, right? I need to be able to go and have the conversation, set up the deal, and then, move on to the next one. But
even that confuses me in just a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. So break that down slower for me, because you don't need to be in front of the camera. You don't need to be. Who are you passing it off to?
So my company, I work with all contractors, all learning and development professionals. So part of my work is outsourcing those projects, whatever it may be, to those contractors, virtual producers, facilitators, like a Stevie as an example, right? So if somebody were to come to me and say, "Hey, I need a leadership development, training class," I would go over to Stevie and I would say, "Hey, this is what they're looking to accomplish. You have this content. You're a great speaker. This
I
is what they're
never
looking to
saw
pay."
you ever as a broker.
Yeah, but that's what he does.
Yeah,
That's what we
Yeah.
do.
that's a
100% is
different
broker.
positioning than I've ever heard you say.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because the number one problem that the people that you're brokering for have is finding clientele. I've always seen you, as you said earlier, as the event producer, right? That's what you guys do. Not the guy that's going to go out and find business for the leaders, for the, the instructors. That's a completely different positioning. And I don't think you've ever said that out loud that we understood. Right.
At least not in a way that made that kind of sense, I guess.
Yeah.
How much
No,
of
I
your
would say
business?
I knew that that's what Bernie did. So I think some of it is him getting clear on how he talks about himself to other people and because when he talks to me as somebody who he might give work to or have a conversation about how we're going to work together on a project, it was very clear to me that that's what Bernie did.
So you have 2 introductions too. Introduction number 1 is find as many Stevies as you can freaking find. Right. So you have a bench of people that are, 1, out talking about you, but 2 are, your deep bench of people that you can send these projects and things to. And if you're going to broker, then broker. If you need a leadership development, reach out to 12 leadership development, figure out who's going to be the best and going to give you the best deal, right? For that facilitation. The other one is you got to be able to get connected to the people who need these leadership development folks and the likes. So the first one, those are easy to get to. They're a dime a dozen because they can't sell. They don't know how to get business. So you're in a great spot there.
Yeah, I have literally 1,000 people on my bench that can do the training work.
Cool. So who then specifically needs the type of leadership training and the likes that you want to broker for?
Everyone.
Okay. Let's stop.
That's the problem, Donnie. That's my fucking problem.
There's the issue.
Yeah. The 2 words I hate
just
the most
remove
is
him from the
network,
screen
right?
from that statement.
The 2 words that I hate the most, Bernie, when it comes to networking are everyone and agnostic.
Yeah.
Those don't exist when it comes to networking. So, but here's my clarifying question to you. How many areas do you think you broker for? Like what, 20, 30 different things you can outsource and become a brokerage company for?
I mean, literally any subject matter, Keith. Like, I've worked with companies that were doing software rollouts. I've done leadership development, soft skills. I mean,
okay, so let me ask you this next question then, because that first question doesn't matter. Here's the second question then. What are the brokerage things that you have done in the past that leads to the most business altogether? Like if you started with just this one thing that you outsourced, but it led to 20 other projects, right? Because nobody cares about the 1,000 things you can do.
Yep.
Or the 1,000 people you can do it for, right? So you need to figure out how to focus on one common thing that you do really, really well that will lead to 20 other projects with the same client.
Dude, I love this because think about it this way is if you become the go-to resource for X, like, let's throw leadership development out there. I don't think that's the right one, but if you become the go-to place to find your leadership development, because if you're looking for somebody to do leadership training in your company, right, you're going to go to your network. But if there's a known resource that people can tap into, and you get what health insurance brokers and PEO brokers and all them say is, I'll find you the best deal. Right now, you start becoming positioned as that guy. And now your content, the things you're putting out, the things you're talking about is really geared towards, let me help you find the right leadership resource. Don't just go and grab anybody who's a leader. You don't know the background story. We've done the research. We've done the background, right? We know what's best for your company. It starts positioning you.
Well, and I think it also comes back to, what do you want to do? Right? Like, what you personally, where do you want it to go? What do you want
He wants to do all of it for everybody.
Right? I know he wants it. Everybody needs it. Everybody needs it, Bernie.
I think
but-
part of my problem is that I know you don't like the word, Keith, but I am agnostic. I really don't give a shit what your widget is.
But that's the number one thing that's hurting you.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm agnostic, right? And I also
Right.
have a global company. But you don't never hear me say I can do anything for everybody, which I can.
Yeah.
But as soon as you stop using that in networking, I promise you, people will start searching out for you. It's you got to think about networking. If it feels weird because you're not pitching your company, it's right. I always tell people networking is just like golf. You got to do your fingers, and everything's weird. If it feels weird, it's probably right.
Yeah.
It's the hardest lesson I've ever had to learn as a salesperson. I know you're a salesperson, right? So it's the most difficult lesson I've ever had to learn is how to network and shut up, right? And help, because your job is to lead people on your camera down the path that you want them to go down, right? You have to ask them and be very specific with where you want their journey to go so they end up right in your lap, right where you want them.
I also think that you may still be looking at networking a little bit awkward. And what I mean by that is your network is not to get introduced to your end client. You use your network to get to introduced to the people who have your clientele. Right. So, and I think we can get hung up on trying to tell people what we do so we can get the right introduction versus simplifying that and saying, hey, I do X. I'd love to meet your HR partner. Right.
Let me see if I can like maybe clarify a little bit. So for me, when I went after people in the HR space, right, which is what you're doing now, you're going after the people in the HR space. In a period of a year, I got 3 or 4 accounts, which was great. When I started to focus on people that knew HR people, right, then I started landing hundreds of accounts. Yeah, because I wasn't going after the onesie twosie people, and I was pitching to those HR people that I met in networking, but that's where I was making my biggest mistake. When I started finding out people who knew hundreds of HR consultants, hundreds of fractional HR people that work with them, right? Then now I'm getting referrals 20, 30 a month, no problem, bringing on 15, 20 new accounts. And I'm not the one doing the work. Everyone's referring me to the business and they're telling them how great I am. So now it's not me standing on top of a soapbox saying, hey, everybody look at me. I'm cool. I can do everything for anyone. It doesn't work that way. Right. So when I started doing that, then things started to roll a lot smoother.
Well, and I think the other thing though that you have to figure out is what size of projects do you actually want to do? Because that's going to depend on what kind of HR people you want to meet. HR consultants is going to be small. It's going to be small projects. It's not going to be huge rollouts. They're not going to be LMSs because that's not what HR consultants do. Right? They're too small and they're not going to have the business. You want to be doing LMS system programming. You need to be in cities. You need to be in large scale companies. Right? Those aren't going to have a fractional HR or an HR consultant. Those are going to have a whole HR team.
Right.
So probably the people who know those people are benefits people, right? Insurance people, because those are the people that go after those HR consultants, right? But what type of projects do you want? If you want virtual events, small business can be huge for you. But if you want LMS and training programs, it's not going to be small business. It's going to be a lot.
And I would also be looking proactively for who's already doing training and is considering doing it online. So, a guy like Tim Berry comes to mind, right? Runs the Sandler franchise. He probably has, 75 clients that are running sales teams with 2 to 10 salespeople and doing a ridiculous amount of training. Tim would not want to worry about all the buttons and pushing and all that to run his events, so there's that angle and play to it. Is there people that are already doing it on scale that you should be partnering up with?
Right.
But go ahead.
No, go.
But I'm still not clear is if that's what you're looking for. Because I'm still hung up on, is it a brokerage or do you want to facilitate?
So I personally enjoy the facilitation. I personally enjoy doing the virtual events. And that's one of the reasons why, at least in SCN and through my existing networking, I've been going that route because
So why can't you grow a
I
big
can-
business doing that?
I can. I mean, to a degree, I can, but it's also my smallest or my lowest price point service.
That's
Right.
the difference. He wants
That's-
to do the big 100K projects.
Right.
So
That's
right,
what
so
he
go
wants.
back to that earlier message, right? Go find the big ones that will lead to the smaller ones, right? Go figure out what those are first, and then let's figure out how do you find those contacts.
I got another interesting idea. So if it's the smallest paid thing, stop doing projects and start selling retainers. Right. So if like, give me a ballpark of what it costs for you to facilitate one training session. Just ballpark.
I mean, if we're talking about a virtual event where we're producing it and I'm not the person delivering the training, it's $500 for a 1 hour event.
Cool. What if you broke it down to, hey, we'll put you on a $500 a month retainer and we'll give you 2 hours a month to facilitate any workshop you have now, or you can do a couple $100 a month, and put packages together that people will potentially go after. And if you can put together some sort of package, now it's how many of these packages can I sell? Can I sign a 12-year agreement at $500 a month, which gets me $6,000 a year?
Mhm.
Right? Can I get 10 people doing that? And I can do the thing that I really enjoy doing. Now I'm doing it on scale. Right?
That's a good idea.
Because I just like monthly reoccurring revenue. I hate project work.
Mhm.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause
Oh, for me, for my company, right, it is monthly recurring revenue, but where I get the most growth are with my existing customers, right? Because once I get them on one thing, they're like, "Oh, what else do you have?"
Mhm.
Right? And what do you? I want them to be a resource. They come to me and say, "Hey, I need to outsource this." I'm like, "Great, I do that as well." Right? Let's get you on the package and things like that. So you can take all your clients and they're going to learn with you along the way. So I wouldn't worry as much about landing a single thing. Just get them on board.
Yeah.
For something that they need right now.
How many different industries have you done training facilitation with?
Probably 30,
Cool. Cool.
if not more than that. I mean, I was
How
in
many
the call
of
center
them-
space for a long time and we had 80 different client programs
Cool.
that we worked with.
Cool. How many do you think, if you walk back to right now and said, oh, you were going to start a retainer project, do you think would jump in with you?
I don't know, probably a quarter of them, but I've not kept up with most of those people because that was a different life.
Right.
Yeah.
But a quarter of them paying you $250, $500 a month, that's a big revenue spike.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Well, I
And
also
then
think
you'll
you can
concentrate
target-
on the other 75%, and go back and circle the wagons with those guys and figure out why they didn't jump on it in the first place.
Yeah, I
also
mean, most of the people.
targeting who doesn't want to do the tech themselves. That's also a key place for you, right? If there's somebody who wants to do, like I tell all of my speakers, like go do monthly webinars because they're the best thing you can do to grow your business because that's where I get all my business from, right? But I love the tech. I have no problem with the tech. Some of them do though. They
Mhm.
struggle, right? So that's where you could come into play and say, $500 a month, I'll run your monthly webinars for you. So you don't have to worry about that. You just show up and do what you do.
And see, now I think you could then create a community. Like you put something like a circle together or something, and now you bring all these freaking content producers together and say, hey, we'll host a once a month workshop to teach you how to present better, or how to sell more, blah, blah, blah.
So
Right.
it's funny that you say that, Donnie, because that's exactly what I'm doing for that virtual production side of the business. I'm putting together a 12-week mastermind class or master class. It's going to be called Audience Alchemy. It's all about engagement and how would a producer support a speaker, right?
I want
put
you to
on that
try
event.
something for me. Try something for me.
Sure.
Just say the words LMS.
LMS,
Cool. Now
Um,
say the words facilitation.
facilitation.
What's the difference?
I mean, they're two different words. I'm
For sure.
I'm following
For
you.
How they're spelled.
So the
Wow,
point I'm
we
trying
were reaching for that one. Okay.
what the point I'm trying to get to is, what do you really want to do? because I don't feel the vibe when you're talking about all the other big project, $100,000. I feel the vibe when you're talking about, the smaller time facilitations and those type of works. I think part of you is chasing a revenue. I need the big wins, which we all want those big wins.
Absolutely.
And so you're not looking at, can I make a shit ton of money, focusing on what's really fun in the business.
Well, I have been focusing on the virtual production side of it and that piece for the last year and a half. And again, that part of the business is growing and doing fairly well. But again, I do want to chase the revenue. I do want to get some big projects. That's, a lot of the business was built on doing those big projects before I took it over.
Right. But it doesn't mean it has to continue down that path. Like, the big wins are fun. The big wins are nice. But, when you're chasing something you're not completely passionate behind, it makes it really hard to sell the fucking thing.
It's true.
Well, the other thing for me, right, is I have two goals. I have one, I network so that I can put people in those master classes, right? You go out and just cold call someone and get them into your master class because they're confused. They don't really know what you do. But if you take your existing client pool that knows exactly what you do and how you do it, those are the people you should be putting in those master classes so they can learn what else you do and how well you do it. Right.
Well,
So I always tell people, keep your marketing, keep your networking completely separate. You network so you can push more people into your marketing. Because over there on the marketing side, you can tell people how cool you are and what you do and everything else. When you're networking, you're not allowed to talk about that shit.
Right.
and I will also say, Bernie, and they can disagree with me all they want. But
We
it's
will.
okay to want two different things, and it's okay to have two different pitches and two different ideas and go for it. Right. So show up to all your HR associations, show up and be a speaker at their monthly meetings, do all the things and get those. I mean, those $100,000 contracts are great.
Mhm.
And then, right, you can also do some of the fun things, right? It doesn't truly have to be one or the other. It's about your pitch has to be specific to whatever group you're in.
Right.
That's the important part, right? So when I talk to people in SEN, think I coach speakers. That's not my business. Is that what I do for them and what I talk to them about? Sure is.
Right.
But is that what makes me my $100,000? No, it's not. Right. I do all this other stuff. And so I think it's about really honing in on that messaging piece and knowing if I'm in my SEN group, this is how I network because this is what I'm trying to get from them. But then next Friday, when I go speak at the HR association, I'm going to talk about this and I'm not going to talk anything about that.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But you have to be that clear in what you're doing so that you can make the pitch that's valuable for the people in that room.
Yeah.
And don't try and talk about everything you do.
I agree with you 1,000%. I mean, I network, people assume that I network.
Yeah.
I don't talk about
Actually,
my company. I
a
don't
lot
talk
of
about
people
what I
think
do.
that Keith started SEN with me.
Yeah. Yeah. I
People
do
get-
know
people
that.
introduce me all the
I
time
hear
and
a
say,
lot
"Hey."
about Donnie and
Yeah.
Keith, Donnie and Keith, Donnie and Keith. I'm like, Keith just joined lately. That wasn't always a thing.
That's a huge win for me. That's what I want. I want people to think I do something that can bring them value. I can teach them
Right.
networking. I can show them where to network. I can introduce them to a lot of people.
But people
Right, 'cause
think
that
that's
brings them
doing your
value.
business. Yeah.
Right? Because what I'm waiting for one thing. I'm waiting for them to say, Heath, I just learned that outside of networking, you do something else. What do you do? Right? When they ask you that question, they're listening and they care.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because they've asked because I've brought them enough value. So I'm telling you, Bernie, it's the hardest thing in the world that I've ever done in my entire life is to shut up and not tell people how cool I am or how cool my company is. Right? It's very difficult to do. But in the networking side, it's what you have to do to find long-term success.
Agreed.
Yeah. Looking through the big projects, going after the big behemoth projects, who typically is looking for that kind of work?
Large organizations like your airline type companies, your large financial companies like Ernst & Young. I've mentioned them several times as one of a previous client that I've worked with. Chewy, the pet food company, Ford Motor Company, like large organizations like that. They have their own learning and development departments, but they don't always have all of the resources internally, nor do they want to bring on full-time staff for a particular project or initiative.
So do you have a top 100 list?
No, I don't.
Create a top 100 list saying these are the top 100 companies that I need to get into. And then part of your networking conversation can literally be is, hey, I'm looking for people who also sell into Chewy, just an example, Home
Mhm.
Depot,
You know what I would do is I would go into your LinkedIn and I would type in the name of that company and then hashtag networking. You'd be surprised how many employees have done what we've done and gone out and in the business world now. And you can find people that were part of GE Healthcare in their past life that might have contacts they can introduce you back into. But you
So
can use networking as leverage.
yeah, fascinating thing. Cozini Knives reached out to me to come do some networking workshops for their sales teams. Largest knife sharpening company in the world, and I would have never looked at this industry in a million years to say this a knife sharpening company that sells to restaurants is going to be my key target. But as I started talking to them, started understanding their world, every time one of their knife salespeople walks into a restaurant, they're passing a Cintas trucks, they're passing a floor mat truck, they're passing, the ice bin company.
Mhm.
All of these are referral partners that are working with their ideal clientele. So, in addition to your top 100, I want you to really get laser focused on who are those industries specifically that sell into those type of companies. And some of your wins are going to be the people that don't traditionally network,
Mhm.
right?
So,
What
yeah, that's brilliant.
what are those one-off industries that you're not going to see, and then use your network to get introduced to those guys?
Yeah.
So I feel
Also,
like
I would definitely say just personal experience, Bernie, cities.
Hmm.
They're my biggest contracts and they do take a little time to come through, but you can keep them for years.
Yeah.
And it's great work for what if you're trying to do like a full like leadership development program, those kinds of things, cities.
Yeah, I've started recently to focus on municipalities and government agencies. I just did 2 different trainings with Department of Veterans Affairs. In fact, and they've got our list of all the courses that we teach. So, like I'm starting to make some inroads into some of those type of organizations, but it's
good.
been a very slow go, and
Yeah.
not
Oh, it's gonna be.
necessarily as a result of the networking.
So
So I wanted to get focused.
So municipalities have their own separate HR association. They're always looking for speakers.
Hmm. Well, Stevie, I think I need to schedule another VC with you.
Absolutely. Happy to do it.
And always remember, the bigger the ticket item, the longer the sale.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And just this industry, learning and development, is such a long freaking sales cycle. I've had projects that took years literally to get off the ground. There was a project that started before I bought the company, didn't initiate until after I was 6 months in, and we finished it in 8 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I feel like we've thrown a lot at you this morning, and
Yeah.
you've looked down and written a lot of notes.
Mhm.
So let's give you a little bit of time to ask maybe some clarifying questions on some of the notes you've taken or the next steps you want to take and which direction do you go in and things like that. So what questions do you have from us based on what we went through this morning already?
Well, I think that there's definitely some things that I need to sit down and be able to think through. Things like the top 100 list, who's selling into the organizations that I want to work with, or who is already working with the people who ultimately would make the decisions for my services. I think understanding, at least from a degree, who some of those 18 different HR categories are. When I think of HR, yeah, I know that there's different categories, but they aren't defined in my head. So I'll ask that question, Keith. What are some of those 18 categories that you just referred
Employee benefits, payroll, culture,
Recruitment.
Firing.
recruitment, hiring, HR handbooks.
I know a gal that's her only job. They bring her in to be the hatchet.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
fire people.
Yep.
Mhm.
Rex Jones does a lot of that, right?
Yep.
He doesn't do handbooks for employees and stuff. He just does onboarding and offboarding practices. That's it.
Hmm.
So he does all the interviews and he does all the exit interviews. So it's kind of funny. He's a good guy and a bad guy. That's all he does.
Yeah. Same with
So
Shannon Carrier.
So what's interesting is Shannon has actually referred me some business. One project that I'm getting ready to start right now was as a result of something that she saw on LinkedIn. She tagged me on it. I got into the conversation with the guy, and now we're going to be moving forward. But she and I have spent a lot of time together, and obviously understands better than you, Donnie, at least, you know, what I do and what my business
that's
is.
a great start right there,
Not
Bernie.
hard to
Yeah.
understand
That's
better.
a great start, right? You're getting business from an introduction from somebody you've spent time with that understands what you do. Now,
Huge.
how do you get more people to understand what you do in less time?
And if Shannon's in the circles and she does mainly hiring and firing, that's her sweet spot, right? I think she's more focused on the firing side of things, but you know, can you get introduced to HR people that's their specialty?
Right.
Or ask her, right? What do you consider yourself when you say HR? What do you
Mhm.
consider yourself? What, you know, what specific? Because I'm telling you that when I got into the specifics, that's what changed. That's what made the wheels move so damn quickly versus what I did the first 2 years of networking.
Right.
So, and you don't know what you don't know, right? Shannon might be a good example. That might be that specific HR seat might be really, really good. But I promise you, there's 2 or 3 others that are probably really, really good as well.
Yeah.
And they're going to be different for the 2 different sides of your company.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to figure out, and you got to figure out when you do figure that out, focus on one. If you focus on 2 things that your company does, you're focusing on 2 different areas you want to be introduced to, you're confusing people. You've got to make this as simple as possible because networking people are way too busy to give a shit about the 3 industries you need to be introduced to. Find one, make it work. If it doesn't work, pivot, find another one.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why I've really focused on the virtual production in, you know, my networking groups and meetings that I've had because, you know, one, it's easy for me to explain and for people to understand. And almost everybody knows somebody who's putting on a master class, doing some type of a workshop. Like those ultimately have been good introductions. But when I try to go down the route of, you know, all of the fractional shit that my company can do, people glass over. And so I haven't figured out the messaging on that.
Yeah.
At least from a networking perspective.
I think the messaging is going to be somewhere along the lines. I want to be the guy that companies come to when they're thinking about different training options. You know, so if they're thinking about leadership, they're thinking about development, blah blah blah. And the idea of brokering those services makes more sense.
Mhm.
You know,
You know,
but
the best thing I learned through the networking thing, Bernie, is don't make yourself an island. There are so many people out here that are willing to sit down with you one-on-one. I mean, you just said it. Stevie's going to sit down with you one-on-one, talk about municipalities. I'll sit down with you one-on-one, talk about drilling down into the HR space and all the seats. You know, people, it drives me nuts all the time, especially inside SCN. They're like, wait a minute, I can schedule a call with you or Donnie or Stevie? I'm like, yeah, anytime you want.
Yeah.
Right. We're more than happy to have those conversations and go down these roads. So don't make yourself an island. There's so many resources available to you. Shannon should be a resource to you, right? You should be scheduling a call with her and figuring out, hey, why did you make that introduction? Why did you tag me? Right? Because you want to know the answers to that stuff so you can duplicate that throughout your network.
Right.
Great question.
We can't see the forest for the trees, right? It's the craziest thing in the world. When we can sit across from somebody else, we can give them advice all day long and we can tell them exactly what we need to do. And as we're giving them the advice, we're like, fuck,
I'm taking notes.
I know. Why am I not doing that? Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's why, like, when we do these hot seats in the networking groups, they're so valuable because literally everyone's got those same problems they're trying to figure out. They're just not asking the question.
Yep.
Yep.
You know, and I also, when I get advice from people, I love it when you go, fuck, that is exactly what I would have been telling somebody else in this situation to do. Right. You know, oftentimes we know the answer, we know the solution. We just need to hear that third person say it. Yeah.
Well, for me, right, I don't want to be told the answer. I want someone to lead me down a path where I come to that answer naturally. Right.
He
So that's
needs
what I
to
try and
believe
do.
he's intelligent. That's what
Exactly
that
right.
That's real.
It's the only way it's going to happen, Stevie.
Right. And it's so funny. Everybody thinks I have the ego. What they don't understand is that asshole's the ego.
That's right.
Well, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate the feedback and ideas, and we'll be chatting some more.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's talk events. What events do we have coming up? Who's coming down the pipes? I know this Thursday for Becoming a Champion for the SEM members, I'm teaching networking ROI. So I'm going to walk through how to actually put ROI to everything and giving a lot of spreadsheets, facts, figures, and numbers that you should be tracking as part of networking. I will also
Any
say
of you think that's weird because Donnie and spreadsheets, but it's true.
And for anybody who didn't make it, man, the Champion Summit was freaking off.
I heard it was awesome. I was so sad I was still sick.
Oh, we were glad you weren't there. But no, it was damn.
There was a few people that we saw speak that we had never seen speak before, and just knocked it out of the park.
Us a fuck away.
Unbelievable.
Good.
Like sometimes you have no clue somebody has that ability, and they get up there and just own the fucking room.
Yeah,
I love
It was
it.
awesome.
yeah, it was really good.
So cool.
Yeah, I got a few events happening this week. Actually, later on today, I'm doing a webinar on suicide prevention, actually, to benefit the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. It's a $20 admission, 5 p.m. Eastern. It's just going to be a quick webinar. Recently connected through networking with a licensed mental health therapist and QPR trainer, and we're going to talk about suicide because we need to. And then also doing a couple of other workshops this week. One on on LinkedIn. Thank you, Peyton. I'm doing one on learning strategy, so very specifically how to tie learning strategy into your ROI. And then we're also doing another facilitating virtual trainings that doesn't suck on Thursday. So looking forward to that.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I have a webinar coming up May 29th, last Wednesday of the month, all about the empathics process. So how to be a more empathetic communicator. So obviously Donnie needs to attend, but we all,
Obviously.
but yeah, so quick 1 hour webinar, make your communication more empathetic, even if you are not empathetic.
He's not going to listen.
So,
I've been trying for years.
for sure. So on May 23rd, I'm doing connections for collaborations for the SEN people. On May 30th, where's my camera go? It's just starting
That
to do
looks
this,
better.
already,
Huh.
right?
Yeah.
On May 30th, Doug Mitchell's coming in to teach your sales toolkit. On June 13th, Hal Hirschfield, who's the author of Your Future Self, if you have not read this book, is amazing, is coming in to speak to all of SEN. And Jay Akuno is coming in on July 25th to speak to all of SEN. So some
Wow,
really
that's
cool,
awesome.
some cool opportunities. And then, of course, September 18th through the 20th, Badass Business Summit here in Fort Worth, Texas. So, and tickets are really starting to move on that. So really stoked for that one. All four of us, we have the LinkedIn panel, and the number of people coming in just for that panel right now is pretty cool. So
Yeah, if you're not following these four people on LinkedIn, you're missing out.
Melissa Cohen, Sherry Jones, Kevin Hunter, and Liam Darmody. So
We're gonna have them on the podcast before the summit.
yeah,
right?
we are. We're going to bring them
Yeah.
all on. A huge podcast panel as well with Larry Robert, Doug Mitchell, and a bunch of other friends where you get a chance to pitch to be on their shows. So bunch of cool stuff.
When we bring them on, we're going to teach them how to do LinkedIn, right? We're going to
Yes, we're going to give them lessons on how to do LinkedIn properly. Like I keep telling everybody when we do the panel at the summit, I'm just going to stand up on the stage, hand them the mic, and walk the fuck away. I'm like, all right, go
That's a
ahead,
good
guys.
idea.
So, guys, we do this every Monday, 8 a.m. Central. We bring in one of the SEM members. We throw them in the hot seat. What the hell do you want, Peyton?
Question for you, Donnie. You said that the guy who wrote the book, Your Future Self, is coming to talk to all of SEN. How is he doing that? How are people watching that or watching him?
So that's part of the Thursday Becoming a Champion. So,
So if they're a part of SEN,
yeah, and they get
know
to
where
come.
to find it.
Wait, did
100%.
Peyton just want some airtime?
Yes.
He just popped up that one random question.
So,
That boy,
but
Peyton.
every Monday, 8 a.m. Central, right here, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. Come hang out with us. Come heckle. Come ask questions. And
I
freaking
just got
be nice to Peyton, they say. No. We like seeing Peyton cry. Hi, Petri. So, all right, guys, go have a badass week. If we can do anything, let us know. Love you, mean it. See you, bye.